Alrighty, what's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, dive into the TA. All right, guys. So we talked about in yesterday's video that Microsoft was about to open with a massive monthly gap, and it was extremely likely to fill that gap. We are now, still sitting 25 points above the 30 points above that gap. This is going to be filled. It is, not left a monthly gap open since really its inception. You can keep going back. You're not going to find something like we have right now. You're just not going to find it throughout its whole, whole history there. And I really don't think this thing is going to stay, unfilled here. I think it's very likely going to at least, form a wick here and then come back up if it's going to continue. If not, we're just going to, really fade this. This thing looks, real ugly. So just understand, guys, the market, whether it happens right now or if it's going to happen starting next week, and we're going to, just straight up buy this dip that, happened overnight. Whatever it's going to be, it is probably going to end up having a larger sell in the end, and then Microsoft comes down here to fill the gap. So this is definitely something we could pay attention to until it comes down to this green line right there at 396.66. So with that in mind, guys, it doesn't mean, it's going to come down right now. I do think it's probably going to, sell even if the market decides to trade flat or move up. It's probably going to have relative weakness. That is a massive, ugly looking monthly gap there. But if we do come over here to ES, we can see that it is really trying to push right now. It is looking like it is going to just continue pushing overnight here. And we have the chance here of opening above yesterday's high, which is today's high. All right. So I am just going to say, be open to anything. If we get above yesterday's highs on SPY and QQQ, and anything you're really watching across the board, then you're probably going to continue. I think it makes perfect sense to continue. I know you're sitting right here at the 21 EMA, but it would make perfect sense to have, a few more days of upside so we can test that 200 daily moving average here on ES, on NQ, on SPY over here, on QQQ. We talked about it right here starting at 563. Why 563? Because that was the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement. We are saying that is where you want to be taking off your profit. That is where you really want to be. Let me just put that on. That is where you want to be taking off your profit, taking off your risk. And then if you want to be considering, putting on a short here between 563 and up here at 575.35. Between here, we're just expecting sellers to step in. We don't know exactly where it's going to be. And I have a hunch it's still probably going to be from higher prices. I think we still have a shot of coming up here and testing the 200 daily moving average up near 573. And then over here in QQQ, if this will load for us, that is going to be, hang on, let's just clean that up right there. But it is going to be up here at 491. All right. So, if we take out yesterday's high, we're probably going straight to the 200 daily moving average. And it's going to be SPY or QQQs that is going to probably mark a top. We could just come over here to this monthly chart. I'm not going to say this looks bearish. I don't know if we come back down to these lows. Like I pointed out in the weekly update, if you are new to the channel, just know we do, our daily updates here. We try and keep them, relatively short, 20, 30 minutes tops. And then in the weekly update, we're going to, go over the game plan going into the following week. What we're looking for on the broad market, SPY, QQ, VIX, all that hot jazz. And then I give you some trade ideas going to that following week so you can make your money. I do everything for free. If you want to just come, trade live with me, I'm going to be live every single morning. That link will be down below, and we will do our best to pull out some money every single day in this market, but I will walk you through price as we go each morning, because sometimes you just got to sit on your hands until the setup actually arrives. And that is exactly what we had over here today. Over here on SPY and QQQ, you just got to really be patient, guys. All right, so you just got to be patient. You came down, you opened down here, you had a 5-minute bullish divergence going on right off the open here, and you just got to wait to see which way you're going to break. You're typically going to, especially in this market, you're going to have a wider range than what you have right here. This is 0.5%. Well, the smallest range we've recently had is 1.1%. So, you're probably going to get double that. Well, what did we get today, guys? That was a 1% range. So we're looking for, some expansion there. It's either going to be up or down. Just wait for your breakout and, develop a system. If there's plenty on YouTube there. If you want to come trade live with me, there's going to be that. But you just got to figure out how to catch that, and you typically get 1 or 2 good moves a day, 1 to 3 we'll say. And you also just got to realize sometimes you don't want to trade it because you're just sitting in chop. Well, that is what the market's kind of doing right now. It's uncertain which direction it wants to go, but as we could see overnight, it's trying to get everybody by surprise. ES is going straight up 0.8%, and Q over there, it might be lagging behind, but as we could see, guys, it's probably going to surprise a lot of people at open tomorrow if these things are opening near yesterday's highs or above them. And then, if we open underneath yesterday's highs and then push above them intraday, maybe we pull back a little bit off the open. That gives, us an opportunity there, but that would create, a trap to the downside. And then we push through the highs, yesterday's highs. We're probably just going to continue higher up to these 200 daily moving averages. They're not necessarily, far from price right now. This is 2% on ES. I know that's a bit of a stretch, but if you look at over here, guys, NASDAQ is pretty volatile, and from current price, it's only 1.76% away, and from today's high, it's only 0.9% away. That's, not too, it's not out of the question, guys. It's possible there. It's either going to be right here or it's going to be slightly above. And I know, guys, we're going over NQ and ES right now, but that's because those are the things that show, current price. SPY and QQ, you could see that I'm a Weeble on Robinhood overnight prices, but, over here in TradingView, you just don't have that. So NQ and ES, that is what we are going to be doing. But, that's also what I just trade every day over here. I trade MNQ and MES. And, we put together a game plan every day over here. And, as of right now, guys, it's looking like we are probably going to be biased to the upside. It's probably going to be what we get tomorrow after we're seeing this massive recovery over here, guys. We're going to talk about some things in this video. So I just wanted to get all that out the way because the market clearly is trying to be bought up overnight. It's looking pretty crazy, all right? And the broad market is stronger than the NASDAQ right now. It's stronger than big tech. So that should also be noted. But, Apple, they did report earnings today, and as you could see, that was how we got Amazon with the double beat, and that's also what we got. The market just it wanted to sell these guys, okay? It wanted to sell it, but as we could see overnight, it's not really caring. All right, and I can't really pull up the overnight price over here in TradingView, but I can look at my phone down on my phone right now and just pull up some prices. NVDA over here, guys, it's up 1% overnight. You were sitting down. It was not looking pretty over there. Tesla's up overnight. Amazon's down, still 2% overnight. Apple's only down 3% now overnight. These things took a dive. And although Microsoft looks like, it's definitely looking real ugly here on the monthly time frame, and we know it's going to fill, I'm telling you, the SPY and QQQ 200 daily moving averages, they definitely can act as magnets. We've been waiting to test them. We've been in consolidation. And, I'm just going to say over here, SPY, it's not the prettiest monthly candlestick. You guys can just check that out right there. It's really not. You did, have a almost picture perfect break and retest off previous highs there. But, over here on QQQ, it's just looking a whole lot prettier. We're going to call it, it's just bullish. Okay. You got the long lower wick there. It's, Dragonfly Doji candlestick. It's your hammer candlestick. It's your pin bar candlestick. It doesn't matter what you want to refer to it as. It's one of these guys over here. And, typically when we get those, those nice long lower wick green guys over here, we'll call them, it typically we can get the lower wick there, but it will get bought up. And, we could just keep going back here. We can go all the way back. This is 08. you know, you printed one of those guys. I know we have the wick right now, the upper wick. This one does not have an upper wick, but you know, you guys could get the point there. You go a little bit higher. Okay, you don't sell right away down through it. And you know, this is over here in the .com bubble burst over here. That does not look like that. You know, I wouldn't say these things look like what we have right now either. So I'm just saying we have a 17% lower wick over here on the monthly candle over here on NQ. And I don't know if that's going to be faded right away. I really don't. You know, that's 18% right there. I don't know if it's going to be faded. And that means, you know, we're probably going to sell. Now, I'm telling you, we're probably going to go up and then sell. We were telling you guys, hey, maybe we dip, but we're expecting this thing to, you know, continue higher on SPY over there between 563 and up there at 575. We were going to be expecting sellers. They started stepping in, but as we can see overnight, guys, you know, I'm glad I waited to make tonight's video, but guess what? All right. It's literally pushing yesterday's high over here. And yes, like SPY right now, I know they stepped in the perfect spot, but let's look at it this way. SPY is sitting right here. All it needs to do tomorrow, pull back a little bit, nice lower wick here, push through yesterday's highs, 564.07, and then it heads to 567.42, and then on the upside, 573, which is that 200 daily moving average. 575.35 is the resistance sitting right around that 200 daily moving average. So those are your levels on the upside. Now let's talk about the downside, guys. On the downside, we are going to be watching 561.36. Just go back over here. Psych, 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 psych. A little like that. All right, so we're going to be paying attention to. Don't mind that. It looks pretty ugly in after hours over there. 557.86, guys. So if that is to be taken out, that's like your key level. I'll just make it, you know, blue over here. That's what I like to do with the key levels we're watching. If you take out yesterday's low, ugly. All right, ugly. And let's look at it this way. If ES, you know, if SPY does that, ES is just going to have a massive upper wick right here, 2 in a row. At that point, yeah, you're probably going to get at least more of a pullback. We come back and test some key levels there. All right, so, you know, on SPY, that would be you taking out this, and at that point, you're probably going to really fade into the end of the week. And you look really ugly over here. That would be a rejection off that 0.618 fib and the 21 EMA here on the weekly time frame. All right, but, you know, let's say you go higher. Okay, just watch 564.07. So that's your key level to the upside there. If you get you know, pull back into today's range there, all right, tomorrow, and then push through 564.07, look for that continuation higher to 567.42, and then potentially up here at 573. That's a bit of a stretch, considering that would be like 3%. 2.6%. That would be a bit much. And QQQ, I think it's much more realistic for QQQ to get up there to its 200 daily moving average, which is only 2% there. Over here, NQ, you know, it's already up 0.4%. Doesn't have to go too much higher from there. I think it's doable, and maybe we reverse off of there, but we'll see. It could actually happen next week. Okay. So yeah, on SPY, guys, on the downside, you know, from where we technically are, we're watching over here. We're going to take that off, and you're really just watching 557.86, and then underneath, guys, you really can start to fade. You're watching 553.68, and then I don't think we're getting down there, but you know, that's the next stop. You don't have much here. All right, and then on the upside, 564.7. Key levels over there, SPY. Now on QQQ, we're just gonna, you know, have the same exact thing going on here. You don't gotta make it complicated, guys. Let's look at it this way. Over here, you see how you kind of just, you know, you held that day's range right here, and then you kind of, you know, didn't go much that following day right there. You were this whole spot is consolidation, right? You just broke up from it, so you know we're in trend mode right now. But if you can just get out of this range right here, that's when you really get that next trending move. Okay, so you know clearly buyers are in control right now. I know you know sold right there, but need I remind you that ES looks like this right now? That's that. The weekly candle still looks like that right now, and the monthly candle over here on NQ still looks like that. And you know you can go a bit higher here. Okay, you have the 200 sitting right above. It's so obvious. So let's see if we get it and consider taking a short. All right, but as far as downside goes, break 480.82, you're watching 479.56. Underneath there, 476.18, then 472.91. And if you return back down here, you're probably going to break it, and we start really coming back down to this next zone over here, which is around 450. Now, on the upside, you're just going to be paying attention to 487.18. I know we rejected this 485.84 resistance that we called out, but we're just going to watch today's high, okay, at 487.18. If you can get above it, you're going to have 488 being the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement, but I imagine you would just be heading above here. You just have to go another 0.75%. It's not so bad. 0.75% up to the 200 daily moving average, which is going to come in at 491. Next resistance above there is 493.62, but I don't think we're really going to break that. If we do, we're watching 499.70, which is where you broke down over here. Okay, we can see the VIX. It did start to bounce back today. The 4-hour RSI, it does have a bullish divergence going on right now. So that is something you can pay attention to. I don't know if it's really going to get that follow through into tomorrow because, again, this thing is looking like that. I will point out IWM really wasn't participating in the, in the sell. It wasn't looking all that bad. And then if we come over here to R2Y, it is actually leading the way overnight up a whole 1.4%. This thing right here is probably going to continue going. So IWM is currently sitting up here. It's right around over here. Okay, so it's coming into 199.34 resistance. Above there, guys, you're just going to watch 201.99, 206.02, 208.84. All right, which actually changed that level up, 209.23. All right, now as far as the Mag 7 stocks go, Meta over here, guys, looks pretty ugly. I'm going to be completely honest. You did sell, right from the 21 EMA. It was literally right there. You sold back down through the 200 daily moving average. This is where you broke down from, this 580 level. You did not break over 59266 resistance there. You have an equal high. You're probably going to get buyers off of 558.49 if tested, but as of right now, it looks like we're going to be getting a gap up overnight. So we'll see about that. Microsoft, I really wouldn't be long in this thing up here, guys. It's going to come back down here, so just be ready to short it. June contracts, you could make some money down there. Yeah, the premiums are a bit much, but you definitely can be making money on those, in a relatively, I'd say I'm not going to say risk-free, but in my head, it's risk-free. So keep it in mind. And, if you want to just trade with me, I will let you know when that happens. But yeah, it's probably going to be either tomorrow or, early next week. I think we're going to get that opportunity, and then just sit back, relax, just wait on it. All right. And I think it really is going to be the same over here on the indices. It's clear as day. You're probably going to get the rejection off the 200 daily moving average. And if we know that Microsoft is looking like that on the monthly time frame, just with this massive gap that's never happened in existence at all, it just hasn't been there. Yeah, it's clear as day. The market is going to pull back. Microsoft's going to pull back. There's two short ideas, just free money for you. I do my best here to just provide opportunity here on this channel for everybody to make their money for no cost to you. So I try and scratch your back. Please just remember to scratch my back and leave a like on the channel so we can reach more people. And I just know, hey, okay, people are valuing the content. There's definitely plenty of value here. If you're just willing to give me 20 to 30 minutes of your time daily, you could be making money every single day. All right, so there's that. But coming over here to Apple, guys, it was looking pretty ugly in the after hours. As we could see, you are projecting this area right over here. You're just kind of grinding right into your 212.94 resistance, peeked your head above it, and you kind of got a similar look to what you have over here. You were either going to start ascending into the heavens, or you were going to fall flat on your face. And as of right now, you're sitting down there. That's around 205. I just don't see a reason to be long in this thing. It's clearly not strong. I also don't think anybody should be long in the market, so I don't see a reason to. But just save your money. Don't don't long this thing that's showing the weakness. Goog, honestly, out of everything right now, I'd say this isn't looking the worst. But I also know the whole market is probably about to start pulling back, so keep that in mind. Don't want to be messing with that. Okay. Now, as far as trade ideas go, guys, cost. Cost is one that I really like right now. I think it's starting to break out. I think we're about to get the move to 1018 up here, around 1020. And then at that point, it might go a little bit further because, you know, we did just consolidate for quite some time in this range. I do think it's probably, you know, going to get a similar move up and maybe start just grinding back up higher like this. Maybe we accelerate the move. All right, some little choppy moves, and then we accelerate into new highs. We'll see how that goes. All right, but that's what I'm paying attention to. You know, at this point, guys, Tesla, you know, I don't exactly know how this is going to go, but part of me does think this thing is just consolidating still before, you know, just pushing through 294.86 and just, you know, hitting it in the jets there. Okay. So I would really just set it and forget it. 294.86, set your alert for it. Forget about it. And then if it hits, there you can ride that momentum because at that point it's coming to 326.59. Until that happens, you got nothing to worry about. PLTR, congrats if you played it with us. But it is time to, you know, just hit the brakes, all right? Because you're coming to earnings, and you know, as you see over here with MCD, all right. Sometimes, and a lot of the times, earnings does not go, you know, in your favor, and it doesn't really do much of anything. I think barely had a move. But you know, in the end, it came down. And what I can tell you is, even if it pulls back here, it's probably still going to end up breaking out to a new all-time high in the short term. I know how this thing trades. This thing likes to troll, you know, as much as possible right before the move. As you can see, we had this range built up. You opened at the low of it, underneath it, broke down underneath it, and it pushed to the top of the range. And then you came back to the bottom. The thing likes to troll. But you know, it's still just kind of consolidating where it needs to, and I still could see this thing running over the next 1 to 2 weeks. We'll see if it has a decent update tomorrow to fix this weekly chart here. But for all I know, yeah, it's still going to be moving up over the next 1 to 2 weeks. Earnings is out the way, so premiums are back down to earth. They're, you know, just doing the thing. So keep it on the radar. Other than that, Rocket Lab over here, guys, I think this is probably going to be continuing higher. But, you know, we'll see if the market does want to continue higher to those 200 daily moving averages. I still think it's very likely because of what is happening, you know, overnight here. But, yeah, that's Rocket Lab, TTWO. This is one I put on your radar on the breakout over here. It was at 223, I believe. And this thing has just continued going, guys. So dips are going to be buying opportunities over here. It's something I'm watching. If we dip into earnings, I think it's going to be a buying opportunities for them to, you know, have another big day off of earnings. There's that. Coming over here to HIMS. HIMS is one that is really taking off now. I think they're just, you know, going to reiterate what, you know, just caused the spike overnight over here. And, you know, let's look at it this way. This move literally brought new investors in. All right, that was, you know, the immediate overnight news over there. All right, that caused this pump over there. So it brought that news brought the new investors in. All right, and then the old investors that felt trapped over here because, you know, maybe they bought down here, and then you had this and you didn't take profits, and then you came back down. You're like, oh crap, I'm down money, or I lost like all the profits. And then you had a little bounce overnight like that, 30-40%. Let me take it off. So the people were trapped down here, they took it off. But the new investors, guys, you know, now you see, oh, new money got brought back into the equation. The old money took the profits over there. But now everybody, just like me, they're watching from the sidelines, and they're like, oh wait, it came back to, you know, where it literally took off from. And then it got bought up, and now it's getting all the new investors there. It's getting the new traders. It's getting some momentum. I think what happened over there sparked something here on the weekly chart. I think this is getting ready to go on another rip. So it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a focus over the coming few weeks here. I think there's a chance we go on a massive run over here on HIMS. We're going to have to see what happens, but I think this thing might be heating up again with or without the market. So I'm keeping my eye on it. Carvana, I pointed this one out as if the market wanted to continue higher today. Definitely looked like it was doing so after yesterday's close here. But yeah, today it came right to 260.80. That was the next stop. If you could take out that high there. And, you know, we were kind of consolidating here over this 237.99 spot. And that was the next stop. And now we do have sellers stepping in. So I would say don't be chasing this thing now, but a little update on that. All right. And, you know, as far as Bitcoin goes, guys, I would just point out shooting star over here, whereas Bitcoin did not. MSTR has been actually leading Bitcoin. It has been moving up without Bitcoin. It has had quite the move. Congratulations. You know, we pointed this out when it was literally right over here. But, you know, it is quite the move at this point, and Bitcoin is not pulling back, but it is. Maybe it is telling you something, all right? Because Bitcoin has been pulling back with it every time it has, and now Bitcoin's not, and MSTR is. Could it be leading the way before the pullback right there? We will see, all right? But, you know, you clearly could tell bullish chart, bullish on the pullback if it happens. I think this thing is honestly going to keep pushing. Ponzi scheme or not, I think, you know, Coinbase, I'm not saying that's a Ponzi, but MSTR over there, that's up there. I think it's probably going to keep going over there. All right. So that's what I have for you guys in today's video. I think Hood over here as well. I think this is probably going to be bought up. I don't know if it's, you know, going to really get bought up overnight here and fix that weekly candle right there. It's only up 0.5% right now in the after hours, or, you know, the overnight session. But, you know, for all I know, this thing's going to gap up here, and then all of a sudden you have a nice lower wick here on this weekly candle. And, you know, it would make a whole lot more sense to me. I don't think this is something that's going to be massively be selling. I think, if anything, this is just kind of a little pit stop along the way. I think it's going to have a similar move to what we saw over here on PLTR. So I pointed this exact setup, pretty much the exact setup here. I think we're right here on, you know, this is when I pointed out. It was right over here I was pointing out. And then, as we could see, it did this. And then it bounced back and it consolidated right here, right before it exploded. Well, you could see over here on Hood, over here, and then you took out the low, and you bounced back, okay? And now we're just right here at this neckline here, and it looks like it could start doing a little bit of that. So we're going to see if it does. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be on my radar here. I'm sending the calls. We're going to see if they come back here. You didn't necessarily get bought back up. I figured you were going to pull back today, and then you're going to, you know, get through 5107. So, you know, I took a half position over here, and I was going to take the other half if we could start getting this going. We did not. All right, guys. But as we saw, you know, market did end up doing a little bit of that today, but, you know, overnight, if we are to continue, it's gonna catch a lot of people off guard, and we could have some short squeeze opportunities tomorrow. So, you know, honestly, as far as short squeezes go, I would be watching RKLB over here. This is something that, you know, if we are going to have one of those squeeze kind of days, this is something that could just you know, get going. These less looked at names over here, less traded names, they could get some big moves going. All right. But yeah, that is what I have for you guys today. Please remember, if you did find value in this video, which I know there's plenty of money making opportunity, that's value right there. If you found any of that, please just remember to leave a like on the video. That's all you got to do to support me. If you do want to come trade live with me every day, and you know, just pretty much have access to everything you need to, you know, pull money out of this market every day, every week, then link is going to be down below. And with that being said, appreciate y'all. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.